Good morning, day 164. I'm trying to walk where the sun isn't in my eyes, so maybe I need to turn around. Anyway, welcome. It is Monday morning, TGIM. Do you say that? I say that now. I didn't used to. Actually, I say that with every morning. I just love mornings, hence my rise and shine routine. God designed us all differently though. And you've got to find your rhythm. Hey, when your brain is awake and alive and grateful, although no matter what your circadian rhythm is, you can make a commitment and decide to be grateful. Commitment is a decision. That is what we're going to talk about today, because I think many of us think that commitment is a feeling, and then we rely on our feelings day to day to determine whether or not we're going to stay the course. Like, am I in today? Not feeling it. It determines our faithfulness, our trust. We rely on our feelings way too much. And that is why commitment is a decision, and why many institutions have also support structures in place to help people stay committed despite their feelings, because there's an understanding, hey, I know you're not going to feel like coming to work every day or working out or being faithful to your spouse or being nice to your kids. Like, we have things, we put things in place that support when we're smart and when we're truly committed and we understand how it all works. We even voluntarily put these systems in place that support our staying committed despite our feelings. Hey, this is what I'm doing. I was like, well, I'm going to do a photo every day. I'm going to check in on Facebook, and I'm going to stay accountable to my commitment to this year-long process of getting outside and getting moving at this time of day. And even I decided to throw in reading the Bible for the first time. So, I'm getting a lot of bang for my movement bucks here for my time too. But it is a big commitment. And it was a decision that I made. And maybe I had a very exciting feeling in the beginning, but knowing that wouldn't last, because I understand how my brain works, I put systems and structures in place that help me stay committed even when I don't feel like it. Because I know those days and those times will come. They do come. And when you understand how your brain works, you put systems in place. Now, what does this have to do with Isaiah, you ask? Well, Isaiah 62 and a few verses there are what sort of honed in. There was a lot of comparison to Jerusalem being kind of revived as the city on the hill, Zion, and talking about in the metaphors or things that were done, were the descriptions being used were about marriage, the excitement that a bride and a groom feel, and that commitment. Now, we are told repeatedly that God is committed to us. But, I wonder if part of, why we had to have the New Testament and even the Old Testament, the old way versus the new way, is that God chose his people, but did his people fully choose God? Or was that more like an arranged marriage where they were kind of forced into it. I mean, that we do have choice as individuals, but sort of as this chosen people. Was it more of an arranged marriage? And when people don't get to make their own decisions about what they're committed to, maybe that's where part of the problem is. And why he had to even show that, like, here, this is why it doesn't work. And then let me show you how it does work. And then opening the choice up to everybody. And now we willingly choose to be committed to higher power, God. I'm going to walk this way because, so I'm not squinting. And it is a beautiful, beautiful sunrise. Beautiful. And how we are. So when you commit to something, it might initially be based on a feeling, and hopefully you've done your due diligence and your homework to make sure what you're committing to is something worthy of such commitment. And by that I mean, does it contribute to your overall quality of life, your health? Does it, is it good for you? And there are certain things that we as humans have kind of established and proved that are good for us. Movement, healthy diet, long-term commitment, because because of family, and people that stay married live longer. And especially when they're in good quality, committed relationships. Now, of course, because marriage involves two people, it can get off track real quick. But this is why we set up institutions and things like marriage, where we make a public commitment, we sign legal contracts, it's hard to undo, so that our identity is like, whoop, I'm married now, can't do that, I don't do that. And even on the days or weeks on end or years on end where you might be like, why did I marry this person? You stay committed. And we're made in God's image. So God must also have this quality too, where his feelings, like he has feelings, and he's lost that loving feeling for his people at times. Now his commitment never wavers, but you see him kind of go off and go, you know what? Y'all are on your own. I can't do this anymore. I turn my back on you. Even despite our faithlessness as a people, or Jerusalem's, or the Israelites' faithlessness, I should say, he keeps coming back. Like, do we do that in marriage? No, there are deal breakers there. But God shows his commitment to us. So, and why I'm talking about this is because when we're talking about even our own individual private lives and the quality of our life, consciously or unconsciously, we make commitments to ways of being. And then we stick to those despite our feelings, sometimes for better or for worse, even to our own detriment. We can end up in addiction. We can end up in just really unhealthy ways of relating to other people because it's what we learned. And even unconsciously, we've kind of committed ourselves to that way of being. And we return to that. But when we kind of wake up, and we start looking around and then making conscious choices about, wow, I really want to choose this quality of life and these things, this way of eating, this way of moving, who I'm going to spend my time with. All of these factors create my experience of life, my job, my career. And a lot of us will reach times in our life where we really sit down and evaluate. We take inventory. We're like, is this really good for me? Did I just choose this based on a feeling, or because somebody else did it, or told me to do it, or whatever the reasons are? But when you're at a place where you're like, I'm not sure this is working for me anymore, and you maybe even reevaluate your commitments and you decide what it is that you really are consciously and with your free will choosing, because of, and intentionally kind of designing a life for yourself. And what are you going to be committed to? Have you done your homework? Have you understood how deep your whys are? And then putting the structures in place to help you stay committed even when your feelings are telling you otherwise. You're just looking at your partner and you're going, why did I pick this partner? Like, what's happening here? When your choices don't align anymore, and you still decide to stay committed despite that, for the sake of the family and the children, and because there is still a love there for that person, and maybe having to readjust, your expectations of each other, how this is all going to work, as long as the choices aren't harmful to the other person. So we got to really think about all of these things when we're driving that stake in the ground and making our commitments. Like, is it something that we really are serious about? That, yes, for the long term, I am committed to moving my body to the best of my ability, because this is what creates vitality in my older years. Eating in a healthy way so my body gets the nutrients. Spending time with God. Going to church. Spending time with other people. Like, that is a system that you're putting in place, is to commit yourself even to a church or a faith community, because they will help you stay committed when you wander off the path and you forget. You're like, I don't know if I believe this anymore, or I'm just not feeling it today because, maybe things haven't gotten well in your life. You get ill, and your illness makes you question if God loves you, or if your life is meaningful. Whatever faith that you have decided to believe in, because these things do derail us and they make us question, and we can fall into depression. And so we really, as an individual, you are responsible for your life, and committing to things that support a good quality of life, and putting systems and structures in place that will support you and staying on that path. And you're the one that has to do all of that. Other people are not. If you rely completely on other people and those structures and don't think you have to do your own work, that's why it's commitment is not a feeling. It is not. It is committing to something despite your feelings. Oh, I'm excited about it today. But I know I may not be next week. Next week I may be going, oh no. And this is why we don't publicly commit, because we know this. Like, so if you're holding back on something, and maybe you are a commitment junkie, you keep just getting excited about things and going in, and maybe or you're a quick fix junkie. You're committed to the quick fix. And you haven't really got this long-term perspective of commitment and staying, and the fruit that staying committed to something for the long term, and what that really brings, consistency, and doing it even though you don't feel like it, and doing those things that are good for you. Even on the days when your tank is empty, maybe you haven't gotten sleep, you've got an illness, people seem like they're against you, you've maybe rubbed up against some people the wrong way, but they're committed to you. They're going to support you even when you're not being your best self. And they're going, hey, I see you made this commitment, and I'm not seeing you doing the things that you said that were so important to you and for your identity and for your quality of life that you were so heartfelt about, that you really committed to. I see you getting off track. That's what we do for each other. These are when you put those systems in place and you give people permission to hold you accountable. It's a decision. These are decisions, and you need to make quality, informed decisions, and you really need to spend some time with them, thinking about them. And feelings can really get in the way. Like, feelings are reliable, and we do need to sort of be in love with the overall idea, and there needs to be a quality of character and long-term benefits associated with your things, the things and the people that you're committed to, and the institutions and the careers. But periodically, you've got to also take inventory so that you can shore up. A really silly example. This is silly, but I'm going to show you my shoes. And when I've got them laced up properly and they fit my foot, they do what they're designed to do. They support my foot and then my whole structure. When I get off track and loosey-goosey, and maybe I've been lazy and put them on too many times without retying them, and the laces have gotten loose, my foot goes all over the place. That shoe is not, yes, I have a shoe on. I'm putting my shoe in. I'm getting something, but I'm getting like only a little bit of the benefit. It's not really doing what it was designed to do because I haven't properly engaged with the system and the structure of the shoe. I'm being a little lazy. We do that in our lives with our commitments. And because it takes a lot of energy, a lot of focus. So even these types of things that I'm talking about are a decision. You've got to periodically go, how am I doing over here? How am I doing with this? Oh, yep. Let it get a little loosey-goosey over there. Haven't been doing it. So therefore, I'm not getting the benefits. That's why I'm not seeing the benefits. You evaluate and go, oh, yep, got to tighten that up. And so I don't know if that analogy lands well, but we've got to do that with our marriages. It's so easy to get off track with our marriages, even with parenting, with other relationships in our lives, the people that we're so close to. Do you have those friends that, even if it's been 5 years and you haven't seen each other, it's like, you just have that rapport with somebody. But still, those people you need to decide and commit, to really not let those things go that long and rely only on that good rapport. What if that person has gotten sick in the meantime? And then they're like, gosh, I really thought she'd be here for me when my life got this tough, but she hasn't kept in touch. She's not really there at the way I thought she would be. So I don't know. We've just got to be intentional. Commitment is a decision, and it takes time, attention, energy, focus. We got to put systems in place, even to reevaluate our systems. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of us don't live our lives that way. We're just kind of on autopilot. And we rely on our feelings way, way too much. Feelings are important. They are a good piece of information in the bigger equation of things, but they should never be the driving factor. And I have coached and counseled enough people that when they hear this, they're like, what? And maybe that was one. Anyway, I need to wrap it up because, I'm getting a little long-winded on this topic because we could keep going. These topics all lead into other topics. And so I think I've given you enough to think about, and myself. because I was on autopilot for years, a good decade, where I just was like, I'm out. Yes, I'm committed because I'm here. Like, I will wake up every day and I am a parent and I am a wife, but I'm living at the lowest level here of commitment. I'm just doing the bare minimum. I'm not really all in. I'm not making the best decisions to take care of these things so that they're thriving versus existing. So there's also a difference in there. Like, you can fool yourself into thinking you're committed. But when your feelings are the thing that are running the show and you're just showing up and things are just barely getting by versus thriving, because a conscious decision, like an all-in, committed, showing up and doing the things, even when you don't feel like it, that is actually what creates the feelings that we're after, of thriving and feeling confident and like, yes, because I'm doing the things even when I don't feel like it. You start living that way, your confidence and your feelings will be so amazing. So the very things that we're after, those feelings that will help drive us, we actually have to drive them. We have to drive our lives in a right way to create them on a consistent basis. I've tried it both ways. I've tested this out. And it's worth doing the work and making the decisions and being committed to things that improve the longevity and quality of your life, or at least your chances of all of these things, and making wise decisions and being committed. And then the feelings will follow if you hang in there long enough. All right. Have a great, wonderful Monday, and rise and shine. Bye.